And of the people who registered, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them have not showed
Shut
up
up.
yet.
All
So
right.
we could wait a couple more minutes.
I think we probably ought to go get started.
Okay. All right, well then let's get started. I want to welcome everybody. Let's go around the room and introduce ourselves so that we make sure that we all know who's here. Let's start with Megan.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. It's Megan Kahn. I work for the Division of Rehabilitation Services in Hartford and in Cecil County.
All right, Sandy.
Hi, I'm Sandy Johnson. I work for Hartford County Department of Social Services. I'm the assistant director there.
Thank you. Justine.
Hi, I'm Justine Bunville, also at Hartford County Social Services. Currently a caseworker, and soon we'll be switching to like an assistant trainer with the work program.
Great. Melanie.
Hi, I'm Melanie Davis. I work for the Susquehanna Workforce Network, and I'm the Workforce Center Coordinator for both Cecil and Hartford County.
Okay, thank you. Cynthia.
Good morning. I'm Cindy Wyant. I'm the Work Program Administrator, also from Hartford County DSS.
Thank you. Tiffany.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Tiffany Triplett. I'm an employment specialist for the Susquehanna Workforce Network in the Havre de Grace office.
Thank you. Mike.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mike. I'm an employment specialist, also with the Havre de Grace office here in Hartford County.
All right.
Melanie.
Dorothea.
Good morning, everyone. I am Dorothea Phillips. I'm with the Cecil County Department of Social Services. I'm the Assistant Director of Family Investment.
Thanks. And Ritu just logged on. So Ritu, can you introduce yourself?
Good morning. I am from Social Service Department, Family Investment Specialist.
Okay, thank you. And then there's me and Joan. So Joan.
My name's Joan Mickle. I serve with Sandy as the one-stop operator for the Susquehanna region. And our job is to try to create more awareness among the partner agencies that are within the WIOA framework, and to help create a more seamless workforce environment.
All right. So as I said a few minutes ago, we have 3 of the 4 presenters are here. So, and Megan, you had asked if you could go first because you have a commitment. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to you. Here's how things are going to go today. We have 3 presenters. Everybody's going to present, and during their presentation, everybody is going to include what we've called an avatar, which is the description and general characteristics of your typical customer. And after each presentation, we're going to ask everybody to take a look at that avatar and then weigh in via the chat as to how you can help support that organization's avatar. And I will keep the chat after we're done, and I will prepare that in a document and distribute it to everyone. Does anybody have any questions before we get started?
This is the first time we've tried to do this, right? With the typical customer. Okay,
Right.
So we'll see how it goes. It's an experiment. And okay.
We like experimenting on you guys because you make good guinea pigs. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Megan. So go ahead.
Share my screen. Okay. Everybody see this presentation? A little bit bigger.
Yes.
Okay. So good morning again. My name is Megan Kahn. I'm a supervisor for the Division of Rehab Services office here in Bel Air. And this district unit also has an Elkton Doors office as well. I'm just going to give like a brief overview this morning, take you through a couple slides. We won't spend a ton of time on each one, just to give you kind of like a snapshot into the people that we serve in the state of Maryland and the goal of our services. So Division of Rehab, that's what we call DOORS as our acronym. And our mission and our goal is to help individuals with disabilities go to work. And we do that with two different programs, our traditional vocational rehabilitation program and our services for youth called pre-employment transitioning services. Every state has a traditional VR program. It's federally mandated, and in Maryland, ours is called DOORS. Again, our mission is to help people go to work, maintain their jobs, and reach independence through employment. So how do you get started with our agency? You would go through our public website, and which has been updated. And now instead of saying begin DOORS services, I think it says request services link on there. So you would just click on that link tab on our public website, and it'll take you to our online referral form. And it'll ask you some demographic information, but it'll also kind of ask you, are you a student? Or are you an adult looking for employment services? And it'll kind of direct you into what you're looking for with us. So if you're a high school student and you're looking for those youth services, it'll take you through, those questions. If you're an adult and you're looking to go to work, it'll kind of take you through those questions. And then what happens from there is those referrals get collected and centralized in our headquarters in Baltimore. And they go through a portal, and they're entered, and then they're disseminated to either their local DOORS office, or they will go through what's called the eligibility determination unit, which kind of started last year. We haven't gone statewide with that yet. So right here in Hartford and in Cecil, we're still getting those referrals and processing them at the local DOORS level. Eventually, however, it will go through another centralized process from referral, and it'll go to the eligibility determination unit. All right, so yeah, if you are in the eligibility determination unit and it's kind of starting office by office all over the state, that counselor who's working for the EDU will take the referral and they will process that first application through eligibility determination paperwork stream. So we will request their application, make sure it's signed. That counselor will collect their medical information, and then they will review the medical information to see what their eligibility is for DOORS, because we are an eligibility-based program. The counselor will explain our process, the services we offer, and then offer them next steps. If they're a youth, then they'll continue to go through with their youth services, and then they'll pass the case to the regional directors, and then the regional directors will push it back down through the district units. And I guess the reason why we're doing it this way and we're changing it since the beginning of time is things have really changed for us at DOORS. We lost a lot of people. We kind of had to reorganize some of our, agency goals to make things more efficient and to streamline our processes to take some of the burden off of the field offices and off of the counselors' plates, because it's quite a tremendous lift, having, 2 cases per person sometimes, if they're like a youth and they're an adult transitioning out. It's a lot to manage. So that's kind of a little bit of an insight into like why. Okay. So who's eligible for DOORS? Anyone who has a physical or mental impairment that seriously affects their ability to go to work or keep a job. And that has to be documented. It can't, just be something they come in and tell us. They'd have to produce, documentation on the impairment. And that they'd have to also need multiple services. They couldn't just come to us for a single service to be able to be in a DOORS case. And then it's noted here that anybody who's receiving SSI or SSDI is presumed eligible. However, they'd only be presumed eligible in category 2. We'd still need documentation on their disability to determine if they would move into category 1 and go into services. Okay, so how do we look at eligible? We would call this a significant disability, and that would be our category 2. So we're looking at them through the lens of employment, not the lens of education or the lens of anything else other than, how would they function in the workplace? So physical, mental, that's going to inhibit their ability to take care of themselves, get along with other people, move around in the community, adapt. And then we're looking for someone who we would consider a category 1 person. We would consider them a most significant disability. And that would be that disability impairs them in 3 or more of those areas just mentioned. So if you only had a disability that impaired maybe 1 of those areas or 2, you would be eligible and you would be significant, but you would not be in a DOORS case. You would be on the delayed list. And then down here we see, we rarely see this, but sometimes there's a disability, but it really doesn't impact their ability to go to work. So we would just call that non-severe, and then we would refer them out to one of our partner agencies like you guys. And then down here, just, talking about that, unfortunately, we can only serve, category 1. There's just not enough staffing or funding available to serve category 1 and category 2 at this time. Well, we kind of talked about that already. We're really trying to work on getting people off the delayed list, trying to see if maybe they are still interested in services, if they had a change in their disability, and to kind of keep us in the loop. So just because you land on that list doesn't mean you'll stay there. If you could produce additional documentation, or you're willing to go through an evaluation to see if things have changed with your disability. So it's not just a list that you get dumped on and we never follow up. Those things kind of change. All right, so if you are in Cat 1 and we have contacted you letting you know, hey, we've received your application, you're determined category 1, you would move into what's called an IPE, an individualized plan for employment. And on this plan, we would kind of outline all the services we can think of to support an employment goal. And then on there, we'd also determine who's paying for what on that plan. So people who have SSI, they never have a contribution into our services. The youth they never have a contribution into our services. However, when you look at certain services like higher education, trainings that result in a credential, we sometimes do look at people's income or if they're being claimed on an amount of income, and there could potentially be a contribution into those services. Okay, so what are the services that we offer? Basic career counseling. That's where they kind of meet with their doors counselor and discuss like how they're going to arrive at that employment goal. And maybe they don't really know what their employment goal is. So we do offer vocational assessments. We do offer educational assessments. If career or college is something that's needed to obtain the employment goal, that would be something we'd include on the plan as well. But like I mentioned, that might fall under financial contribution. Work readiness training, that's exactly what it sounds like. It used to be called work adjustment training. But if you've been out of the workforce for a very long time, it might be overwhelming to just throw yourself back in the ring. So we offer kind of like a reintroduction. What are the expectations? How are you going to handle situations? Is there training necessary? We offer assistive technology, where you go through an assistive technology assessment, seeing if there's any devices that you need as an accommodation on the work site to help you manage your work tasks. We also offer job placement or job development services. So we assist the person with, finding a job, applying for a job, fixing up their resume, fixing up their cover letter, mock interviewing. And then once they're on the job, we offer them coaching on site or coaching off site. And they kind of restructured our coaching. So we used to just offer it in an hourly rate. Now we've increased our fee schedule. So we're paying our provider agencies at a much higher rate, and we're offering the coaching at a fading schedule. So we would go in heavy at first, coaching them when they first get the position, maybe 100% of the time. And then over the course of 4 or 6 weeks, we are gradually decreasing the amount of support we're providing on site. So that's a little bit of a change too. And it just says other support services because we can get very creative in how we support someone's employment goal. And that really is between, the counselor and that person and what that person might need. So very individualized. Oops. All right, who pays for DOORS VR services? So we're state and federally funded, mostly federal. Most DOORS services are provided at a no cost to consumers. Like I mentioned before, there may be financial contribution into some of our services, but even with that, we have like our own financial responsibility scale, and it's only for certain services. Most of the services are covered by the Division of Rehab, including all the employment services, the coaching, the job development, regardless of financials. We always pay for assessments, regardless of financials. So there's only certain services that we would look at an income level on. And that's really, again, between the counselor and the person involved in the case. Right, I already mentioned that. Yeah. And again, the youth services as well. We always pay for those regardless of financials. So DOORS also covers a variety of people with disabilities, all disabilities. We have a division of counselors who work with the blind. Their acronym is OBVS, so blind and vision loss. people who have always had vision loss and people who newly become blind can get services with doors. We also have another division that work with only the deaf, hard of hearing and hearing loss. Those we call RCDs because they rehab for the deaf. They sign, they have translators, ASL, and then they have like the specialized knowledge in that population to know what providers would be best to serve people who their primary language is ASL. We also serve the deaf blind community that is also under that subdivision of OBVS. Again, because they have the specialized training and knowledge to work with that population on their goals. We serve people on the spectrum, the autism spectrum, developmental disabilities, behavioral health, acquired brain injury or traumatic brain injury that could be acquired again, or something that the client has always had. And anything else that would be documented by a doctor. We serve all medical conditions that would result in disability. Okay, so now the next couple slides really focus on the youth, the kids. So in 2014, after WIOA kind of came through, we had really had to spend at least 15% of our budget on youth services. And now fast forward 2023, more than half of the referrals that the division sees is youth. So big change. So our programs for youth, we call them transitioning youth, and the services that we provide are called pre-employment transitioning services. So to be, qualified for these services, you have to be enrolled in a secondary education school or a secondary educational program or recognized educational program. So I think the key word is you got to be enrolled in some kind of school, and some kind of school that has like some, accreditation. You can't have exited, you can't have graduated, and you can't drop out and be no longer enrolled. You have to be a student, and you have to be between the ages 14 and 22. And then you have to have a documented disability, whether it's on an IEP, a 504, a doctor's note. It's just, those are the three criteria. We can also have those students apply for our VR program, and we can give them all of those services under traditional VR. It's just they would kind of have to go through the rigmarole of the application process, eligibility, and then go to plan. But they can absolutely apply for adult services at any time. And under the pre-employment transitioning services that we offer, there are 5 core areas where we can offer them services. And this is straight out of, what they put forth for us to do. So job exploration counseling, again, it's exactly what it sounds like. They kind of drill down into helping someone discover what they really want to do. And if they have an interest, they really dissect down what that interest involves. So mechanic, okay, very broad, but what do you want to do to be trained as a mechanic? Do you realize the voc tech training involved, the environment of that job, the tools, the skills that you're going to need to do that job. So it really explores with the person, not just what they like to do or what they think they like to do, but how to obtain and what skills they are really going to need to obtain to be able to do that position. The second thing is the work-based learning experiences, and the key word here is experience. We like to call these summer jobs or little jobs, but they're really just experiences. They're short term, they're up to 8 weeks. They could be paid. If they're paid by doors. They're not paid through the employer. And some of them are unpaid, and it's really to give the student a taste of the environment that they think they'd want to work in. So yeah, and the other thing on here is counseling on opportunities for enrollment in a comprehensive tradition or post-secondary education program. And, you know, the counseling that we offer really is mostly about how to obtain their, you know, the same accommodations that they got in high school. You know, if you needed to go to college, how would you get those as an adult? It really doesn't give them a lot of like, you need this class or this elective. It's kind of like an overall counseling, and we don't offer it as a standalone. It's usually wrapped around one of the other services. And that's just kind of what's happening in Hartford and Cecil with that. Workplace readiness training, again, similar to the adult program, but it really kind of helps the students focus on developing their social skills and their independent living goals. So how do you manage your paycheck? Where does your paycheck go? How do you speak to your boss is different than how you speak to your friend. So kind of, you know, those kind of skills. And then the last thing, of course, is introduction into self-advocacy, which is so crucial because it kind of goes into the topic of disclosure. Do I disclose that I have a disability? Do I not disclose that I have a disability? And if I choose to, how do I do that? And then it gives them all the information about, you know, their rights. And it's done in a small group setting, and the kids really like that group. So those are the 5 core areas. So again, we can serve the youth under traditional VR programs where they wouldn't just get the 5 core areas. They could get the 5 core plus all of the employment services as well. Talked about this already, Office of Blind and Vision Services. All that information is also on our website. I can't get this click to add title off, so excuse that on the PowerPoint. This slide really talks about our Workforce and Technology Center. So we have a comprehensive rehab facility in Baltimore, and they also have been through a lot of changes. But they're still standing, and they continue to offer a very wide range of folk tech trainings, continuing to develop additional trainings. They also offer GED, pre-GED, and then all of our vocational rehab technology work. So your vehicle modifications, your assistive technology things, they're all on site. So they have OT there, PT there. If someone's enrolled in a training program there, there's on site, you know, academic support. There's support for people with autism, you know, people with autism going to college, support groups. So it's quite comprehensive. And again, there's a lot more information on our website about all of the programs that they have and all of the criteria. So here's a list. They do also offer the pre-ed services as well. People in Hartford really don't like to go to Baltimore, even though it's not in the heart of Baltimore. It's like they hear Baltimore and they're like, no, but it's very nice. It sits on the campus of Morgan State University. It has everything there, and they do offer dorming. So if they didn't want to commute, that's a real incentive. And there's a list of again, all the training programs which are there and then continuing to be added. The one thing I'll mention here is that the Sephora Distribution Center is new, and that is a partnership with, Sephora, the big guys at Sephora. And they've done this partnership with a number of different states, and they reached out to Maryland and they said, we want to do this with Maryland. And they offer like a 7-week paid training for our folks to go in, get the on-site training. And if they can complete like 3 out of the 5 competencies, they offer them employment there. And they offer full-time employment with benefits. And that's right here in Aberdeen. So that's kind of great for here in Harford County. We also offer benefits counseling, and we partner with the Maryland Employment Network. So we help people understand the role that work has on their benefits. And that's our sister agency, the Department of Disability Determination Services, DDS. They kind of help determine if you're getting benefits or not. So once they're determined that they're getting benefits, DOORS helps them with the counseling that's necessary to either keep their benefits or work off of their benefits. This is in here. This is a lot. CAP. Basically, CAP is like if you're unhappy with us, they go to CAP, Client Assistance Program. And even though it's under DOORS, it's like a separate advocating partner that makes sure that everything in your case was on the up and up. Lastly, the DOORS website. Like I said, it used to say begin DOORS services here. I got to get this screenshot updated. Now it says request DOORS services right here. And that's where you would click to do your online referral to us. You can also find us on YouTube and Facebook. And for more information, you can always contact me if you have questions, or my program manager, Alyssa Bonzer. Our emails, my phone number here in Bel Air, and the DOORS website. So yeah, I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to just see if there's anything in the chat.
Actually, could you put up your avatar so people could see that?
Where is my avatar?
That's something that you needed to put together to show
Oh.
everybody your typical client.
I think it's just so hard for us because we don't have a typical client. All of them are so different. Sorry, I didn't create one.
Okay, could so in that case, from her presentation, then going off of what she says her clients' needs were and everything, if all of you could go to the meeting chat and put into the chat how your organization can help support Megan's clients.
What if we use a client that is not, that hasn't been decided to be eligible? Is that like not a tier 1 client? As an example.
Yeah, so someone who is on our wait list and maybe needs a referral to the job center, American Job Center, or maybe they want to go through an apprenticeship program through SWIP. So they wouldn't be using our dollars, they'd be using your dollars. It's just that they wouldn't be in a plan with us. You'd be working with them independently. Yep.
Okay, we're starting to get some feedback in the chat. Please, everybody, participate. How can you assist Megan's clients?
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's usually DSS 2 doors, not doors to DSS. Is that correct?
Mhm. Trainings, right? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I actually have one of my counselors who works out of the AJC in Havre de Grace weekly. Her name's Karen Otten. Thanks, Mike. Good.
Are there other community resources for people who are not eligible for, or they're on the wait list?
Yeah, so we would kind of lean on our partners, you know, so they weren't just sitting doing nothing on the waiting list. So yeah, if they wanted to start with
Like
one
this-
of your trainings, or they wanted to go to school, or they have SSI and they wanted to go, you know, back to college, they could go to Harvard Community College and apply for the Pell. Doesn't mean that, you know, they'll never come off delayed. Like, it really just depends on if their disability changes, if there's been a change, or if they want to be reassessed. You know, unfortunately, we don't have like a rolling time frame anymore. Like we used to tell people, like, oh, you're on delayed, but it'll be exactly 2 years from today where you're coming off. And now we can't give dates. We can't give time frames. It's like you'll roll off as central office rolls you off. So we don't really have any, you know, hard and fast timeframes anymore for the wait list.
I'm curious about other disability resources in the communities.
So the Image Center, their Center for Independent Living in Maryland is called the Image Center, and they can assist people with things that they may need to live independently, like in their home and sometimes potentially at their job. So if their home requires a ramp, you know, maybe their home needs to be renoed due to wheelchair accessibility, things like that, they may offer some of those resources. They may partner with some non-for-profits as well.
Who runs the Image Center? Is that a government entity?
Image Center? Who governs the Image Center? I'm not sure who governs them. The contact that I know there, she primarily works with our youth. You know, they do offer like youth services as well, so they're a good resource. As far as like any other resources, we partner with, we call them CRPs, community rehab providers, but they're usually funded and governed by long-term funding sources like Developmental Disabilities Administration or Behavioral Health Administration. And you would have to have one of those disabilities to kind of obtain those services. And those services are wrapped around the individual, from community, home, employment, social. It touches every piece of their life.
Might be beneficial to invite maybe Image Center to one of these cross trainings. So
They would
or-
love it. They're very open.
Thanks, Megan.
Sure.
Okay, thank you very much, Megan. Sandy, are you ready to do your presentation?
Sure. Everybody can see that?
Yes.
Yes.
So, okay, so social services, we offer, of course, needs-based benefits. And the ones, so, there's cash assistance, SNAP, we also handle Medicaid. But as far as our work program goes, we have 4 groups that we work with for our work program. The first one is temporary cash assistance. It's called TCA. It's also known as TANF. And that's cash assistance to needy families with minor children. So if they have children under 18, and then they have to meet technical and financial eligibility, they could then receive the cash assistance. There's time-limited eligibility to cash assistance for adults. Generally, they can only receive TCA for 60 months, which is 5 years. Now, we do have hardship exemptions for that. People that have disabilities or extenuating circumstances, we can extend that. And TCA has mandatory work participation requirements. If people are disabled or something like that, then they're exempt, but overall, the majority of our TCA participants are required to participate in a work program. The second group that we work with is the non-custodial party employment program, NPEP for short. This is to help non-custodial parents in obtaining employment so that they can pay their child support regularly. These are usually court-ordered participation by judges for those folks that are in arrearages for their child support, and they are referred to us from our Office of Child Support Enforcement. The third group that we work with is the SNAP Employment and Training. SNAP stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It used to be called food stamps. Currently, for us, it's a voluntary program. We're just getting that up and running. And that's to help folks who are receiving the SNAP benefits to gain the skills and to find work so that they can be self-sufficient. And the fourth group, which is kind of we don't do a lot with them, but that's one thing that we're working on to try to do so, is the foster care youth programs. And that's to help the foster care youth to be ready to be financially independent by the time they age out of care, which is at 21 years old. A lot of times those youngsters don't have the work skills and even the motivation really to find and obtain and retain employment. So currently we have 2 in-house vendors. We work with SWIN and we also work with Hartford Community College. Hartford Community College does a lot of assessments for us, work readiness assessments, educational assessments. I know they do COPES, CAPS and COPS and Myers-Briggs. and other assessments, just to see where folks are, how job ready they are. We also have a workplace excellence curriculum that they use. It's a 10-module curriculum, teaches them, it goes over a lot of the soft skills, adapt, how to be adaptable, how to be dependable, how to communicate, how to be presentable, how to make reasonable choices, things like that. It's an excellent curriculum and program. And then the college also does referrals. For those who don't have a high school diploma, they'll refer them for GED. If they have language barriers, they'll try to get them into ESOL classes, and also to encourage them to enroll in all of the different certification programs that we offer, or that the college offers, and that SWIN offers as well. We have not been able to get a lot of people to partake in those certification programs. I'm not sure why. We have the money, we encourage it, but we just haven't had many takers for that. Again, SWIN is our other partner, and SWIN helps us with job readiness, job search, and employment services. They help with resume writing, interview skills. They do mock interviews. They do job search. They refer to job openings. We also have, through SWIN, work experience and community service, which is unpaid, but it gets them the work experience, the hands-on work experience that they need to be able to obtain and retain a job. We also, through SWIN, can offer subsidized employment. It's similar to a paid internship. So our folks at SWIN will contact employers and say, hey, DSS will pay the first $8,000 for this person's employment. It's kind of like a incentive for them to give people a try, because it's coming out of our pocket and not theirs. Generally, that's a 12 to 16 week program. They have to work 30 hours a week or more, or up to 40. And again, we can pay up to the first $8,000. So that's kind of, we do have that. I feel like it would be nice if we could utilize that more, but we do have 3 or 4 people that go through that subsidized employment a year. So that's a good thing. SWIN also does the same referrals to GED, certification programs, ESOL, and then we also have vehicles for change. That's a separate entity, but we make referrals. SWIN makes referrals to vehicles for change, and that helps people, if they meet all the criteria, helps people get cars. And we, at DSS, we pay for it, but they're inspected and road ready vehicles, and it helps our people so they can have transportation to get a job or to keep a job. SWIN also offers retention services for at least 90 days, but I know that Wanda works with them way longer than 90 days, just to support them, keep them employed. If they run into any barriers, to help them overcome those barriers so that they can stay employed. On our end, we offer transportation assistance. That could be bus passes, that could be taxi services, which is limited. We can help somebody usually up to 30 days if they need help to get back and forth until they can meet somebody and try to ride share or something like that. We can offer them taxi service temporarily. We assist with barrier removal, and barrier removal could be daycare. We help them to apply for the Child Care Scholarship Program through MSDE. If they need equipment for a new job, boots or tools or something of that nature, we can help them to obtain that. If they have a job and their car breaks down, we could help them get their car repaired so they can get back on the road. And the welfare avoidance grants help us with those things. And they are just what they say, it's to help people to avoid having to go back on cash assistance so that they can stay independent. And then for our SNAP E&T folks right now, we're referring them to Humanum, which they offer a lot of training and things like that to help folks become employed. Coming up for us, effective July 1st, sadly, we will no longer be partnering with Hartford Community College. And that is because the funding that we use can only cover, well, it can't cover the SNAP E&T customers. And so we need to find a way that we can work with them. And so we're going to bring that in-house so that we can work with every group that needs the work training. We will also be doing the assessments, the workplace excellence, the job readiness skills. And the shift with our central office, we used to be pretty numbers motivated. We had to meet our work participation rate and, but now it's a little more people over performance at this point. So we're kind of looking at the holistic thing. We're adding 2 additional barrier reduction coordinators to help those folks work through whatever it is they have going on that prevents them from working or keeping a job. And the 2-gen approach is to kind of attempt to involve the entire family, not just look at the head of household and their needs, but also the children in the family. And we're hoping to, I'm not sure we're going to be able to do it this summer, but by next summer to offer classes and maybe even on winter break and things like that for maybe teenagers, high school students in the home, help them with some financial planning resources, to be financially responsible. We could help them with driver's ed so they could, obtain their driver's license, which would help them obtain employment, things like that to keep them, to help the whole family so that they would be successful. So I didn't make a so-called avatar, but our customers vary from, they're all different, but the majority of them are unemployed or underemployed. Sometimes very desperate because they are facing evictions or utility turnoffs or any number of things like that. A lot of them have mental or physical disabilities. There's a lot of substance abuse issues. So it's just trying to work through all of those things to get them the benefits that we can provide them, the needs-based benefits, and then also to try to help them work through all of those barriers that they have. Any questions?
Thanks, Sandy. Based on Sandy's description there, if you could put in the chat box, how can you support DSS's clients? So Sandy, Joan had a question about what you mean by not having a partnership with Hartford Community College anymore. Does that mean you'll be doing the training yourself?
Yeah, so excuse me, the services that Hartford Community provides us, we will now be doing July 1st ourselves. Justine is one of the trainers, and we have another one that had another commitment today. She couldn't be on this call.
And that's due to just the color of the money that you have available? That you couldn't spend certain money with on your partnership with the community college?
Yeah, that was the major push, and it was just a better use of our resources and money to do it ourselves at that point, instead of having to try to find a third vendor, which would cost even more tax money.
Will you still, I guess, refer people to HCC for, I guess, other training, non-WIOA or non-funded training?
Yeah, so I mean, there'll still be a huge WIOA partner for us, so that we can send people for GED, ESOL, all of the certification programs as well.
Thanks, Sandy. Other Sandy Cormack. I think the avatar really only works when we're talking about specific people with specific characteristics. We're really going to just be covering people's basic mission areas by kind of looking at avatars in general. I think our thinking on this was to look at a specific person, maybe with some unique challenges, and to brainstorm a little bit about how we would work with them as a group. That was the intent.
Yeah, and yeah, when we went to the virtual meeting, it sort of took away our ability to do small groups, so so at any rate, all right, thank you very much, Sandy. Melanie, are you ready to go?
I am.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Let's see, my upload failed. I would be the only one that's having some problems. Is it show?
Yeah.
Okay, well, good. I don't know what that message is all about. Okay, so it sounds like everyone is familiar with SWIN. We have 2 offices open right now, 1 in each county. So we offer services. We have in-person and virtual seminars. We tried to do a hybrid seminar for a while, but those were kind of confusing to everyone involved. The ones on screen, we either talking to the people on screen or talking to in person. Our back was always turned to someone. So we did opt to try, to either have people come in person or the virtual ones. We're moving away from the virtual ones. Trying to get them all to be in person, but at this time we are still offering at least one of the seminars once a month. So we offer the job search assistance and planning to people that are, ready to just get a job now. We have resume and interview assistance, occupational training, career assessments remain a big part. We still use the Tradeify. It's, if you're not familiar with that, it's a very short assessment. It says in 2 to 3 minutes. Actually, it takes 5, maybe 10 minutes. Just looking at a series of pictures, reading a short caption, and it gives a pretty eerily accurate estimate of what would be good occupations for the people. And you can even narrow it down based on education level. We have a young adults program from ages 18 to 24. There is a very robust, and actually it's too late. There's 120 people that will be going into actually employment over the summer. How many weeks is it, Matt? Is it 8 weeks? But they'll actually be paid and working at real jobs just to gain that experience. And then the work
Yeah,
experience.
Melanie, it's actually 5 weeks.
Oh, only 5 weeks?
Yes.
Ah, so it's way
Yeah.
off.
Well, yeah,
But
it's
it's
it's 5 weeks and they can max out at 150 hours.
Yeah, so it's growing. 2 years ago, there was only 20 participants, and now it's grown to 120 participants. So it's nice for the youth that actually starts as young as 16 to actually have something to put on their resumes. So the workforce centers that are open, we just have Swan Creek and Elkton at this time. I've heard that they are working on finding a new location for the Bel Air office. Probably will not be opening at the Mary Ristow building. Occasionally, we do still have some appointments that are virtual. We have people that say they have issues with transportation or still health concerns. But for the most part, our traffic through the workforce centers is picking up. And we have upcoming events and information that's available on our website, swnetwork.org, as well as the Maryland Workforce Exchange. And that's a little further into the presentation. So to get started, I can be the focal point for either Harford or Cecil County. We have a new phone system now that no matter which office you call, you can be transferred to either location, and internal calls even to our main office. Normally, customers don't call our office on Girard Street, but some of you may need to speak with people there. So we do require that people have an account on the Maryland Workforce Exchange. Here's the website there. Now that's kind of where everything starts. You can build a resume. There is an interview training. I don't know if I spoke about that last year, if any of you were in the presentation then, but it really is an excellent resource for interview training. It's mock interviews, you record yourself, and then you can see the feedback. It also offers AI feedback. And it's really good information for all educational levels. People with master's degrees, bachelor's degrees have said that they learned some tips that they weren't necessarily aware of or had forgotten. People that are just starting out with interviewing say they learn a lot. So it's very valuable in addition to our regular seminar and interviewing, but we give people the option they can do either or both. So the customer's needs, we're seeing really a broad range. I did some avatars and it was hard to narrow it down because we do have so many different types of customers that we haven't seen before. I'll talk about the one we see more of than we did in the past. So, sorry, maybe Monday morning isn't the best time, a little tongue-tied. But we refer customers to the community programs. I'm so glad that we have an opportunity to kind of remind everyone about what the services you all offer and the new things that are coming down the pike. So, if they're not job ready and they need a little extra assistance, they may start with one of our partners. Once they go to some people may just need a seminar on writing resumes. Other people may need a little more hand holding. And then we refer them to an employment specialist. I would still say that the majority of our customers are interested in trainings. And we have a little more freedom with the training that we can send people to with the expanded grants that we offer. Our regular WIOA funding is very limited to that ETPL, the eligible training provider list. But with the one we call it Susquehanna Back to Work, and it's generated from the COVID pandemic. We still have funds through that. And then we also have one that is from the opioid crisis. That one is more generally with the ETPL list as well. So we've been able to send people to some different trainings that in the past would have been a no. And then we have businesses that work with our business services representative. And they're the driving force for the job fairs, and we have on-site recruitments. We are growing that part of the program as well. So the seminars that we offer, I'm sure you've probably heard of Job Quest if you've worked with some of our customers. This is what we call an orientation. And we're exploring new ways to deliver this. We feel like we may lose some people by the time they wait for a Job Quest, even though we have them every week. It never fails. We'll have someone coming in on Wednesday. We have them on Tuesdays typically. So we're thinking of maybe putting something on YouTube. And then just when they come in, express interest, we can give them this link, maybe have something to track whether they attended or not. So we are exploring different ways to get the process started to make it easier and faster for our customers. We have a seminar on writing a targeted resume, interviewing success, and 10 steps to a federal job. We've had some new staff become certified on this, and we've got the latest presentation from Catherine Troutman. She's, I think, the #1 expert in federal jobs, writing the resumes and how to actually apply for the jobs. And she does the career coach and also the federal resume writing certification. So if you attend that, you might see some different faces. And then we have LinkedIn. I'm always trying to spread the word about how LinkedIn is such a valuable resource for job seekers. So that's just a very basic how to create your profile and how to use it in your job search. I've seen all kinds of jobs posted in the job search feature where in the beginning it was more white collar occupations, and now you see all kinds. And we also have virtual seminars that are presented by APG FCU with some really useful topics, setting SMART goals, punch out unwanted money habits, and getting your credit in shape. So we don't have the participation that I would expect from that. So we'd really like to get the word out. So if any of your customers are expressing interest on receiving more information on any of these topics, we offer them once a month. They're usually on a Thursday, and you can sign up for those on the Maryland Workforce Exchange. If they have any trouble, just have them call me and I can get them signed up. So until June, all the seminars are offered both virtually and in person, but I'm thinking about trying in June, just an exploration to see if we can offer them all in person. I kind of anticipate we're going to have a little bit of pushback on that. So if we do have that, I'll probably offer some virtually again in July. But we do have people, we have someone that will call in each center, will call the day before to remind them of the seminar. And if it's a virtual one, to make sure that they receive the link. Oftentimes they do go into the junk mail folder. Now, when someone meets with an employment specialist, we, often are asked, okay, so what happens at these meetings? This is where some meetings are just where we show them how to look for work. Not everyone is aware of the job boards that are the most effective, or even how to look, even applying for online through applications. We can help people write their resumes and do mock interviews. We do have the software that is helpful, but sometimes it's best just to have a one-on-one mock interview, and that way you can provide feedback right away. I've had customers that want to come in every time before they have an interview. Found that helpful, just to kind of calm down the jitters a little bit. Occupational training assistants. Want people to get certifications. That remains to be a really big focus, or even to build skills Soft skills remain to be a focus, not just with the youth population, young adults, but also with fully grown people. And then follow-up services, once someone has went through the program and obtained a job, they're not just left to their own devices. We have a wonderful person who calls and does all the follow-up to see if they're still working, if there's any other services they need. And we do have people that do require extra assistance. I had someone that exited and 3 weeks, not 3 weeks, 90, almost done. I was going to say that 90 months into it, they needed extra assistance, and now they're coming back in looking for another job. So, we always have that available. Once someone is through the process, we are certainly not finished with them. So to start, we have customers to upload their documents into the Maryland Workforce Exchange. That is something that started during the pandemic, since they couldn't actually come into the office. And it's something that we've continued to do. It's more secure. Some people feel that it is, but there's people say, oh, I don't want to upload it online. I'd rather bring it to you. But we can't ever guarantee any site is completely safe, but the Maryland Workforce Exchange does work very hard to keep the layers and everything to protect people's information. But it works very well. That way they can do it from home, come into the appointment. We have access to it. We have assessment tools, Tradeify, that I mentioned earlier, and also there's a work interest that's available through the Maryland Workforce Exchange. Interview training I already spoke of, and we create an individualized employment plan. We call it an IEP. It's where we write out what the steps are for people to obtain their employment goals, develop what that employment goal is, and it's where we also address any job seeker barriers. And we have a plethora of barriers that were already mentioned by some of you with your customers. It could be background, previous drug use, lack of skills. So we just really meet with people of all kinds, walks of life, education levels. So here's just a snippet from the Maryland eligible training provider list. If any of you go to this, you might have a shock when you do, because they have revamped the site and it's not as user-friendly as it once was. Hopefully we'll all get used to it. So with the special training opportunities, I mentioned Project Forward. That's the one that's driven by the opioid crisis. The EARN grants, we've got one targeted for IT and also one for manufacturing. Susquehanna Back to Work is the one for the pandemic. And we have revamped our production technician training that will be starting soon. So if you have anyone that's interested in manufacturing, there's a certification that is going to be earned with it. It's not one that I've been familiar with. I did some research on that. So if you want more information, just contact me and I can send you the link that tells about it. So there's just a couple of aspects like CNC. So we kind of narrowed it down. It was a broad range. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the previous programs, but it was a really mixed up schedule. Some was during the day and some was at night, and some days you went all day long, and now it's all evening classes. It's a very manageable schedule. So we're hoping to have a lot of success with that. Now, for the young adult services that I mentioned earlier, it offers employability skills, GED, and this is for the 18 to 24, except for the summer program, which is 16 to 24. So it can be assisted with getting a GED, financial literacy section, mentoring, leadership development, occupational skills training, and there's other skill building opportunities. It's, really too much to put into one slide. So the contact person for that is Karen Reed. She's most frequently here at the Swan Creek office. And Matt Trecanelli that spoke earlier, he works in the Elgin office. And then we also have Courtney Wallace that's here in Swan Creek. So I talked about the work experience in the beginning. I always get ahead of myself, I'm sorry. So we already covered that. So it's, an employment routine. It's, 150 paid hours. And it's developed by the participant and the SWIN career specialist. So they do have to interview for the job. It's not just handed to them. And that helps to build skills too. Now, there are some eligibility requirements. So the low income and requires assistance to maintain employment is one. So oftentimes that's, pretty broad range of people qualify for that. If they're pregnant or parenting, they've dropped out of school, if they have basic skill deficiency and low income. So a basic skill deficient is under 9th grade level. If they've been subject to the juvenile justice or even the adult justice system, they would qualify, or if they were homeless, runaway, or a foster child. So with the business services, they assist businesses with recruiting and the training needs. So they have, partners in the community. They would provide recruiting assistance for the job fairs and the hiring events, as I mentioned earlier. And we also have a hot jobs list that comes out every Thursday. So, and it's been a pretty long list, and we, shoot those out to our customers and partners. So if you're not receiving that list, you just let me know and we can add you to the mailing list. So they're the sources for most labor market information. They go to the rapid responses. If an employer isn't able to post their job ads on MWE, they can assist with that. And of course, with the job fairs and recruiting. So we have some job fairs coming up. We're still offering the virtual ones. We have them every month unless there is an in-person job fair that month. So we have April 18th, that's tomorrow, one June, July, and August. But we have on May 11th, our Cecil County annual job fair. It'll be at the Singerly Fire Hall again this year from noon to 4. And then the Harford County will be September 28th, also from noon to 4. But it's going to be at a different location. It won't be at the Cal Ripken Stadium. It'll be at APG FCU at HCC. I'm not familiar with where that is on campus. Trying to think of where there's a large enough place, but there was an issue with the parking at the one last year. So I guess we're going to try a new location. They're usually pretty big successes. So we have a Facebook account to find events and what's going on, and also LinkedIn, so you can find us there. If you don't follow us, recommend it. And do you have any questions about my presentation while I look for my avatars? Okay, so this is probably the one that we'll do. Did that come up? Do you see Nancy Know-It-All? Okay, so now this is a customer that I've been seeing an awful lot of. Women in their 50s, early 60s, oftentimes coming out of retirement. So I'm using this, I named her Nancy Know-It-All, and she's got her fingers in her ears because these type of customers are usually very resistant to advice. They come in and they have a set of mind. This particular person that I'm basing the character on, she worked in the same company since her youngest child started kindergarten. So she worked her way up into, a high-level administrative assistant position. So she was making a pretty good amount of money on a high school diploma. So, and I threw in that she mentioned that she learned to type on a regular typewriter. She was very proud of that fact. She made the salary, as I mentioned, was really good, and she did not want to accept a penny less, not taking into consideration working her way up. So the offers that she was having, she was very, very insulted. You know, she made a lot more money than that. She can't live on that. She wasn't willing to go down at all, not even with good benefits or anything. Let's see. Her resume was really outdated. She didn't want to take any advice in changing anything on that. It worked just fine when she got the job there, and she didn't want to change it at all. And, you know, she's good at Microsoft Word, but didn't really have any other software skills. And she just wants computer classes, and she didn't want to take them online either. It's just bent and determined about if she just knew Excel or some other program that she'd be able to find that $80,000 a year job. And sometimes they're coming to us because of divorce. Sometimes it's because, you know, they need more money to survive because of all the rising expenses and cost of living. So,
So how do these, when somebody like Nancy comes to you guys, how do these engagements usually turn out?
Well, some of them end up deciding they don't want to go back to work, but then others, you kind of have to convince them. Usually I'll say, well, let's redo your resume and we'll send that out, and then we'll send out your other one and see which gets the most results. Sometimes it's just kind of a scientific approach. It really kind of depends on how open-minded the person is.
Mhm.
And, you know, some of them, if they get a LinkedIn profile, they get into that. So it's really varied results. But, you know, if they're closed-minded, you know, we don't usually have good results, or they'll end up taking a less paying job because they don't really have a choice. I'll have to confess, I've had a couple of them just get really mad at me and then stop talking to me. So if anybody has any advice, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Could we give Melanie some advice on how to support old Nancy Know-It-All here?
Well, am I just not seeing the chat? Nobody has any excellent ideas? Great idea.
Everyone is busy typing right now.
Okay, good. Yeah, another woman that came in, she had made $140,000 in her last job. Now, she did have education. She had 2 master's degrees and very, very high student loans. She said that wasn't even enough to live on. That, you know, her next job, she expected like $200,000, and she was getting job offers in the $60,000 and $80,000 price range. She's mad at me because she had to take a job for $80,000. At least she's working.
I have heard that anecdotally from a couple of people, and it does seem like there's a lot of, I guess, pay competitiveness.
Yeah, it's sad, but you know, the pay scale needs to come up for people to live, but
Right.
and really, you know, education wasn't the answer for her. She needs to be marketable. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, especially, you know, in some of the fields where there's more competition. People
Yes.
are, I guess, willing to work for less. I don't know. You know, one of the people that I talk with who's hunting right now is just doesn't have any offers that even approaches a salary that is, you know, family supporting. And so it's a struggle.
Yeah, that really can be. And thank you, Rita. Yeah, she does need computer skills. But most of those you find online, and you can find them for free, but that was totally out of the question. But you know, maybe I could sell that. It's like, well, you're on the computer, so you're kind of learning some new skills with that.
So you know, given that she's in her early 50s, it sounds a little bit young for her to be in a situation where sort of the world has kind of passed her by. And that I see that happening with older people where, you know, technology has moved at such a pace that everything that you needed to be successful, you need to be successful now is very different than it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago. But early 50s sounds awful young for that.
Well, I think maybe she's more like mid-50s.
Well, still, yeah, still, you know, this person 25 years ago, when they were in their late 20s, everybody was using computers, and it's very surprising that being so set in your ways is occurring at that age. It's very surprising to me.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, working, and of course, I encounter people like this, but it's not my job to work with them. So I want to caveat that. But,
Okay.
you know, this is coming from fear on her part. And so it seems like having her recognize what and it's fear from competition, from feeling left out, from feeling like the world has passed them by. And, you know, but people in their 50s, and Rita certainly can talk to this better than anybody, offer different perspectives and sets of skills. So, you know, this person may need to recognize some of the strengths that they're bringing to the workforce in order to accept that she has to up her technical skills to keep pace.
Now, that's a really good point. I'm going to try that.
And also, when you know, going through this description, it almost sounds like somebody who's entering the job market for the first time. Their mindset is that the world owes them a job rather than that they need to be able to sell themselves. You know, what value am I going to provide you if you hire me? How is your business going to be better off by hiring me, rather than you owe me not a penny less than I used to be making in my old job?
Yeah, that would be a good way to kind of spin it too, like sell yourself instead of convince them why they need to pay her more. Thank you, Sandy. Yeah, I have an appointment with her this week, so I'll try a couple of those things.
Hey, I'll come in.
Okay.
Come in and we can tag team Nancy. Does she look like the person in that picture there?
Yes, she does. Her hair is different though.
Does anyone else did anyone else put something in the chat box as to how they can help Melanie's avatar here?
Yeah, she's a tough one. Thank you for the input.
Sounds like she needs some tough love.
Yeah, she does. You gotta be careful with that though. Because I'm a woman, a little bit older than that, but I can say we can be very sensitive.
Well, you have, and it's got to be coupled with recognizing the value that you're bringing to the workplace.
Yeah, it's true.
So Rita, are you ready to go?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Okay. Hold on. Let me share my screen. Okay, hold on a second. So I have it backwards. Hold on one second. Lovely. Hold on. This always happens. Okay. Let's see. You should be able, are you able to see the screen?
Not yet.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me try it. Okay. Go on. Sure. Yes. One second. Okay. See. Let's see. Are you able to see it now?
Yes.
Okay. You're not seeing the presentation, you're seeing the other side, because for some reason it's doing a presentation spread. In one, it shows like with notes, and the other one is just the screen. Okay. All right, I am Rita Monroy, Program Manager for the Senior Community Service Employment Program in Central Maryland, and I represent the Center for Workforce Inclusion. So briefly, I just want to mention what the Center for Workforce Inclusion is. We are definitely committed to bringing economic opportunity to low-income and other disadvantaged older adults who are 50 years and older. Even though the CSEP program starts at 55, we have other programs, and we start serving people at 50 years of age. We originally started as the National Council of Senior Citizens in 1962, and that was 60 years ago. So we have been running CSAD for that length of time. We are headquartered in Silver Spring, Maryland, and the Central Maryland program, which covers Cecil and Hartford County, we are based in Baltimore City. Now we operate in 445 counties across 15 states, and that is just for the CSEP program. Okay, and the funding, basically the DOL provides 90%, and the center provides the remaining 10% of the funding. Let's see. Next. This is good. Okay, so this is what we serve. So west as Frederick, east as northeast as Cecil, south to Prince George's County, and then we have the eastern shore, Dorchester, Worcester, and Somerset. So we have just this corner. So we almost have the entire state of Maryland, at least the most of the state. So what is CSAT? It's a community service and work-based job training for older Americans. It is authorized by the Older American Act and provides training for low-income unemployed people 55 years and older. Job seekers gain work experience through that community service, and it's normally done through nonprofits or government agencies, whether it's local, state, or federal. Job seekers train an average of 20 hours per week and are paid the highest of the federal, state, or local minimum wage. So for Cecil and Hartford County, we are paying them the minimum wage for the state, which is $13.25 an hour. Now, this is excuse the graphic is all kind of crazy, but I will explain. So normally when a person comes to us, they get pre-screened, okay? And after pre-screening, then once we have openings, they get enrolled. Also, as part of this enrollment, they get assigned to a caseworker. They also get resume development within the first week on the program and interviewing skills. They also get an assessment and an individual employment plan. Once that is done, then they are sent to, we identified a host agency that more closely matches what they're looking for. In terms of gaining the skills or practicing the skills. And we send the resume and they go there for an interview. If it is a good match, then they will be assigned there. Of course, parallel to all of this, we are always developing new host agencies because we need them, with different participants needing different type of training. We always going to be looking for potential host agencies. After they have been in a host agency, let's say 6 months, we conduct a reassessment. And then we try to determine whether they're job ready or not. If they're not job ready, then they go back to the host agency. And again, 6 months later or 3 months later, we do another reassessment. The reassessment includes an assessment and individual employment plan. Once they become job ready, then we polish that resume. We coach them more about interviewing, about searching for jobs, and we help them if they need help with the job leads and even job applications. Locally, they will get that unsubsidized employment, but our job doesn't end there. We conduct a follow-up for 4 quarters after the exit, after the quarter of exit, which is roughly, I guess, it could be up to 1 year and 3 months. And if they successfully stay there, then we call that retention. And that's when DOL give us the good mark saying, yes, this is success. And oops, sorry. I moved the mouse. We also provide supportive services, and it's from the very beginning. And those supportive services could be really anything. And we do that in conjunction with organizations like yours. The partners are our first stop. Like if somebody needs food, somebody needs housing, somebody needs veteran assistance, anything, disability, we refer them to doors, etc. So we try to match them, with whatever is that they need. Who do we serve? We serve the residents of Hartford and Cecil counties. They must be 55 years and older. They must be unemployed, and their income must be below 125% of the federal poverty level, which is determined by the U.S. Department of Health. And for this year, right now is $18,225 for a family of 1, or $24,250 for a family of 2. Priority is given to qualified veterans and qualified spouses of veterans. Oops. Wrong way. Oops. Well, I finished. Hold on 1 second. Oh my God, this is really
That was very fast, Rita. Cool.
I know. Hold on. This mouse is a new, I got a new mouse and I'm still learning. Here we go. Okay. How to enroll. So they can contact us. They can contact our administrative assistant at 240-459-3343 to obtain a pre-screening. And there may be a wait list in some areas, but we don't have any wait list in Cecil and Hartford counties at this point. I don't know if I mentioned this, but in Cecil County, our service level is 6 people, and in Hartford County, 10 people. So as people get jobs and we continue to enroll, I can say that for this program year, we have served more than that minimum required. So normally staff will contact the individual to conduct the enrollment. Documents that are needed for enrollment are driver's license or photo ID or a passport, social security card, proof of income with gross income. You know, so if they're getting social security, we need the social security before any deductions. And then if they're veterans, we need the DD-214. Again, first priority of enrollment is given to veterans and spouses of veterans. After that, anyone with a majority of mean characteristics. What that means? That means that if somebody who's disabled, who is 65 years of age and who's at risk of becoming homeless, that's 3 most unique characteristics, so they will have a priority of enrollment versus someone who may have only one. Okay, so system considerations, it is available for 48 months or 4 years in their lifetime. So once they use it, it's done. They can never come back to CSEP. CSEP is available in all 50 states and US possessions. That means that somebody who's enrolled in CSEP and decides to move to California, they can transfer to California. The goal is for us and the program and for the job seeker is to transition into an employment within 1 to 2 years in the program. Job seekers receive job coaching and training at their host agency assignment. Case manager works one-on-one with job seekers to develop a plan, how they're going to learn and practice the skills needed, as well as job search and job application assistance, resume development, and other things. Any supportive services that they may need, they can do referrals, etc. The service provided in a nutshell, and this is not exhaustive, but we provide assessments and individual employment plan, training on site, online, and training offered through the workforce partner. So any trainings that you have that are available to our participants, we always try to make sure that we take advantage of those opportunities. Right now, the center has set an online training, so we will be doing a lot of different trainings. I know we started this month. We already had a digital training that was done in conjunction with the Susquehanna workforce in Elkton location. So thank you for that. That was really a success training. Job training through the community service assignments, resume development, interviewing skills, job coaching, job club, employer outreach, and on-the-job experience. We also have something similar to OJT, which is called on-the-job experience. So we can also work with employers, specifically corporations or for-profit entities, where we can have or job seekers go and do, let's say, a month of the work as they are learning the job, and then at the end we pay the salary, and at the end of that month the employer can decide to keep or not to keep the job seeker. Supportive services, referrals, and individual case management. I have to say this, host agencies are always needed. So again, host agencies can be nonprofits, 501c3 or government agencies. So all WIOA partners qualify as host agencies. So if any of you are in need of any help and you have the time to coach and train somebody who can help you, whether it's clerical work, I don't know, maintenance, anything, just let me know, because you all can benefit from it. So to become a host agency, all we need is a signed agreement and a community service assignment description for all positions needed. There is no limit as to the number of job seekers that you can have. Okay, the only thing is that job seekers, must be supervised. And a supervisor must be available for the job seeker to seek guidance on the performance of the assignment. In terms of our hours of operation, CSEP hours of operation at 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Job seekers are seen in person by appointment only. Phone calls are definitely recommended. Office staff is still on the hybrid schedule, partially in the office and partially teleworking. The Baltimore office is located in downtown Baltimore, 1 North Charles Street, Suite 1501. And here is all the contact information. My administrative assistant, Queen Laney, who does the pre-screenings. You have Barbara Bonham, program specialist. She does some of the enrollments. She also can provide flyers and any information regarding CSEP. Loretta Falls is our caseworker for Cecil and Hartford counties. That's pretty much in a nutshell what we do. And I do have 3 avatars. I went a little crazy with the avatars. So avatar number 1. Okay, background. Army veteran, 67, he's single, was homeless about 8 months before coming into the program and had not held a job for 7 years. He is disabled and has PTSD. His job goal is maintenance. He has experience. Financial needs income to help pay the bills, home and the rent and utilities. Hardships, he lost his wife a year ago and not having the second income is hurting him. Training needs some recent experience since he has not worked in 7 years. There you have it. So what can we do for this Army veteran, 67? And do you see anything unusual in there? Do you see any problem with him doing maintenance?
What sort of maintenance are you alluding to here? Like
Just
handyman type work or?
right, repairs. Repairs, and that might include indoors or outdoors.
So Joan asked, would you send him to Doors for an evaluation?
Yeah, we could do that. We could also send him to the veterans program if he's not already there.
Melanie says, create a skills-based resume to highlight skills.
Okay. Absolutely, but 7 years gap on the resume, we definitely want to make sure that it's, you know, when you have experience that is too old, you also need to have more of a functional resume, I think, which is what we do with the majority of our job seekers. Mental health services will be useful. Yes, definitely. And we have worked with, Perry Point, in some instances where we have referred people to go in for rehab in some instances if they were substance abusers. Correct. That is the same concern I have, how his disability and PTSD will impact his ability to do the maintenance job. His disability is his back. So yeah, that is something we're trying to basically work with him on first getting computer skills, because he doesn't have computer skills, which I didn't put in there, I'm sorry. And try to see if he can get a more sit down type of position instead of maintenance. But maintenance is what he knows. That's what he's done all his life. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he should be doing that. Depending on, yes, it's not, yes. Absolutely. And I definitely gonna be trying to connect, because we do have a few participants that could benefit from a SNAP. The one challenge that we have with a SNAP and housing is sometimes their benefits get cut back because of the income they get from CSEP, but the regulation from DOL is that their income through CSEP should not be considered in the income calculation for those services.
You want to move on to your next avatar?
Yeah, sure. All right. She worked until 6 years ago when she had to stop to take care of her sick parents. Both have passed, and now she wants to return to work. She suffers from diabetes and high blood pressure, both under control. She wants to be a clerical assistant, but has no computer skills. Needs income to help pay the bills, home and utilities. Hardships, she had to pay for her parents' care and burial and is still carrying over those debts. Training needs, she definitely needs a computer training, Word, Excel, and Outlook.
So are you saying that until 6 years ago, she was doing clerical assistant work?
Correct, yes.
So Sandy, for those of us who aren't familiar with it, what's Humanim?
It's an organization that offers training for people to get jobs. I know they have, Cindy, can you help me remember the name of the program? It was similar to that, like an administrative assistant training or something like that, that they were
Yes.
offering. So I know for our customers, if they receive SNAP, it's free of charge, but I'm not sure how the cost works, from the general public, but it's certainly something you can Google them. They're right in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they offer more than just that. I think that was the one training, the office worker kind of assistant is the one I think we were getting, but they offer other trainings as well, I believe. I think maybe they're headquartered in Baltimore, but I'm not positive.
Yep.
Okay,
What
so
I find curious here is that until 6 years ago, this person was able to perform as a clerical assistant with no computer skills. How did that work?
well, some people apparently, if you have been, she worked there for about 20 some years. So she was doing filing, she was answering phones, she was doing everything but computers. And the employer apparently did not see the need for her to learn computers, and she didn't get the training, period, you know?
Wow.
And in some instances, other participants, they may be doing something specifically on a database, and they're doing data entry, but they don't necessarily use Word or Excel or anything, so they never get to learn that. So those are the gaps that we're finding out with our job seekers.
What else
That
can
for
we,
some reason,
what else can we do to help this avatar? How does this person get health care?
she is old enough to get Medicare. I believe she is 70 something,
Oh,
72,
okay.
maybe. Yeah.
If she wasn't that old, she can apply, if she's under 65, doesn't have Medicare, she would apply through the Maryland Health Connection.
Right.
And then if she is older than that, over 65 or has Medicare, she would come into her local DSS office and apply.
Are there any resources to help pay for what she had to spend for her parents' care and their burial? Just asking that question because we do have many participants on that situation.
So DSS does have a burial assistance program, but it's only for people that have passed away who were receiving SSI at the time of their death, or temporary cash assistance, or TDAP, or if it's a foster care child. If they're receiving, if they were working or not receiving any type of benefits, or receiving Social Security or Social Security disability, they would not be eligible. And then, if she paid for medical care or something like that for her parents, that would not be reimbursable either, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the case. I have another job seeker that is in that situation. He is all himself, and he had his savings, and so he poured all his savings on his mother, and with the thought that Medicare will pay him back, but apparently didn't. So he became homeless. He's a mess right now. We're trying to figure out how to help him, but he's in a different county, not in Cecil or Hartford.
Is there anything else that we can do to help this person?
I feel like she's an easy win because she is definitely willing to learn computers. So it's a matter of pairing her up with a training.
So Tiffany says that there might be some free online Microsoft applications training resources. available for GFC, Learn Free, and Harford County Public Library.
Right. Yeah, but we use the GCF Learn Free for our participants. But sometimes if they don't know how to use the computer, then they need basic computer skills, like how to use the mouse, how to use the keyboard. This is what we're finding out, because even with the training that we just did, our vendor went straight to teach people how to use the computer, but realize people don't know how to use the mouse, don't know how to use the keyboard, and they're
Wow.
afraid, they click the wrong thing and everything goes crazy. So it's just,
it's easy to take that for granted, I guess, given that,
yeah,
I mean, Joan and I have been, we were exposed to computers back in the 80s. And so we just, that's something that I wouldn't even think of, that the fact that computers are almost essential now to everything in life, that there would still be people who lack the ability to turn one on.
but there is hope, because the new people, the new 55s, they are coming already with the skills. So we're seeing a new trend, people already coming with the skills.
Did you
And
have another avatar?
I'm sorry?
Did you have another avatar?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, boy.
This is the last one. Okay, retired. She retired at age 65, but found out that retirement money does not cut it to pay all her bills. She's single. Her husband passed away 15 years ago. She had a stroke and is recovered, walks with the aid of a cane. She wants to be a receptionist, has no computer skills, needs income to pay the bills, home and utilities, feels discriminated by potential employers because she uses a cane. And again, she needs computer training. And I do have actually roughly, I think, 3 or 4 participants with a similar situation, even with the host agencies. I can't get the host agencies to take people in a walker or with a cane, walking with a cane. And I just don't understand what's the issue. Okay. No, it's okay. Energy assistance and the SNAP. Yeah, we use 211 as well to refer our participants, and I know we get the energy assistance referrals from there.
So she walks with a cane because of the stroke?
Yes.
Okay. Did the stroke impair her mentally anyway?
No. No, it was only she was paralyzed on one side of her body, and she's
Okay.
gone through rehab, and this is what she have is, the walk. She has to walk with a cane.
And as a receptionist, you wouldn't need to walk,
Correct.
right? Okay.
Correct. And it all depends, because here's the other thing. Many companies see the receptionist as the face of the company. So it could be like certain types of companies,
How old is she now?
She's 65.
Oh, she's just retired then.
Yes.
Okay. And did she retire from a receptionist role?
No, she was how do you call it? A CNA.
She was a certified medical assistant?
CNA, yeah. nurse,
Certified
nurse assistant.
nursing assistant, okay.
Yes,
Certified nursing is, wow. So she doesn't want to
But
go
she
back
doesn't
into
wanna-
into
no.
the healthcare field.
no. No, and I don't, she says something that I don't know if she could do it since she had a stroke. So,
Okay, Joan had to leave, so let's keep going here. This is an interesting situation here. What else can we do to help?
no, you know, the reason why I put the avatar with white hair is because she also has white hair, just like me. Like I'm in my 50s, but I have gray hair. So that is another thing, that
Mhm.
we can make them look young on the resume. Once they get there for the interview, that is the challenge, in a way. So. Right now, the challenge is we don't even have a host agency because we have sent her for different interviews and it seems like nobody wants to take her. They feel like that she might be a liability if she falls down, so they're not seeing her as the potential of what she might be able to bring. She's a very personable person. She's very cheerful. I think she'll do great as a receptionist.
So
but-
you tell me this, remind me this, the partnerships that you guys have with companies
Mhm.
to employ. There's none of them would be a good fit for this person.
No, not right now. We're hoping there's one that it might be remote. Maybe they might feel there is less liability there, but she needs to learn the computer skills.
Right,
If she learns
so
the computer skills, then-
as a receptionist, do you have to, is this, and I'm not as up to this as probably I should be, but I would think that, like receptionist is not necessarily something that, well, let me back up here.
Receptionist jobs right now require 35 words per minute typing, knowledge of Word, Excel, and
Oh,
Outlook.
okay. Does the receptionist role that she's looking at here require more than computer skills and phone skills?
No. Well, filing, yeah.
Does she,
Most receptionist jobs are gonna, rarely you may have some account receivable and payable, but I think the majority are they need to know
Mhm.
the basic software or Microsoft Office. It's not the same requirements as it will be for an administrative assistant. It's a little bit less.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because I'm
So-
thinking that there's sort of a subset of a receptionist role that is just sort of like a call center role. Where,
Okay, yeah, that would be customer service, I guess.
well, it could be. That's also, I was thinking along those lines too, that a lot of call center roles would be probably customer service in nature. But I was thinking more, like right now, one of my doctors is part of a network of providers that go across 3 states. And so when you want to make an appointment, you don't call the office, you call their central call center and you
Right.
make an appointment through them. And it's very frustrating for me because I can't talk to my doctor's staff anymore directly. Also, I could leave them a message for them to contact the call center to contact my doctor's office, and then they'll contact me directly. But it's more of a central role, and it doesn't require you to be physically located at that, that doctor's office. You could be anywhere. You could be at your home. And I'm thinking, are there potential roles for that she might be a good fit for? Because then her disability wouldn't be an issue,
Yeah.
because there wouldn't be any liability. If they're afraid of liability, that wouldn't be an issue anymore.
Right. I think they call them appointment setters or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just gotta be careful with the telemarketing. Sometimes they're just calling random people, and that I don't think anybody will want. None of my the cold calls, I don't think none of my participants will want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, it appears that everybody has to take off now because of other meetings that are coming up. And so does anybody have any other questions for Rita? And Rita, if you could send me your presentation here.
okay,
I'm
I
going to
will.
upload all the presentations to the WIOA Partners website.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you all for participating, and we're going to have another one of these for Cecil County. We haven't scheduled it yet, but it'll probably be sometime in May. And look forward to seeing you guys then if you can make it.
Okay. Sounds good.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandy.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.